Okay, so the beginning of the presentation is this is not intended for medical advice. I have a very large version of this in the back. It's called the Healing Web. I did not make it. I did not make most of the things that I'm going to share, but these are the things that help me help you better. And that's the idea, is for me to just help you help yourself. And I've helped myself. A lot of you might know, some of you might not. But I used to be 325 pounds, and that was physical, but my emotional health and my spiritual health was even worse than my physical health. And a lot of this stuff is what I've used for myself to balance and recalibrate and regenerate and rehydrate, and the recalibration and the regeneration and then the hydration. So most of us are drinking the wrong water, but we don't know any better, and then once we know, we can't unknow. And then also most of us are being exposed to EMF, which is electromagnetic frequency or field, and we have an electromagnetic field that extends from our body. If you rub your hands together, you can feel that magnetic pull, okay? And also, if someone stands a little too close to you in the line at the grocery store, you can feel that. So that means that somebody stepped into your bioenergy field. It's like your personal little bubble. And some people's bubbles, unfortunately, are inverted nowadays because of sugar, alcohol, tobacco, stress. And what they're doing is they're requiring more. They're like caretakers, rather than caregivers. And I was a caretaker. But also, I took what I could and I gave what I could, but I didn't have any left over for me at the end. And that was a chronic issue for me for about 15 years in the medical field. I gave what I could, but I didn't have enough left over for myself until I started drinking this water. And you'll notice that this bottle is like a battery, but also so am I. And I was drinking tap water, which this is Bandon City tap water. And then I switched from tap water to bottled water, which most of us we do naturally because we assume that bottled is better than tap. And then I switched to the ionized alkaline water, which those machines over there produce the ionized alkaline water. And those are Japanese medical devices that are imported from Japan. It's a kitchen appliance that provides two types of income. And one guaranteed income is electron currency. Currency, just like our financial currency. We have a monetary financial currency and we have an electron currency. And the blueberries and the goji berries and the acai, the green tea, they donate their electron currency. That's why they're antioxidants. An oxidant is like a withdrawal, and an antioxidant is a donation. So it's just a little play on words. But this water donates, and this water and this stuff withdraws. So too many withdraws, you have overdraft fees, that's inflammation. If you continue to have too many withdrawals, eventually you have to file for bankruptcy. And I explained this to a gal earlier at the juice bar who came in and said she had cancer in her digestive. And also she's been drinking very acidic well water for a very long time. She makes her tea, her food, her coffee, she bathes in it. And then also she pushes emotional things aside. She doesn't want to digest emotional things either. So now it seems like what has happened is she's created this inability to digest, either in the emotional or in the physical or in the spiritual or all three, I'm not sure. So this water helps with that too. Not saying that it will, saying that it could. And all this stuff could. And Deb, my friend Deb, who is going to help me help you guys later by demonstrating the bed and the frequencies and how all of this works. So if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'm kind of long-winded, if you can tell, but I do want to help you. So the first thing I'm going to do is start here at the Bandon City tap water. Okay, and what these drops do is they detect the presence of chlorine. And this chart will determine the color based on the parts per million. And then you'll see that this one here, now these are both from this sink, and we'll put some drops and we'll see it change color, okay? So that means there's chlorine in the water. Now there's no tricks, I promise. I'm not gonna pull any tricks on you. I'm just gonna put my fingers in the water for about 5, 6, 7 seconds, and I want you to imagine that you're brushing your teeth, imagine that you're washing your hands, imagine that you're washing your vegetables, or you're making your rice, or your beans, or your soup, and imagine that all of that chlorine is going into your body that quickly. So you can see there's a difference in the color because my biology, my body, my fingers absorbed the chlorine in the water within 5 or 6 seconds, and it's gonna happen the same thing when you brush your teeth. And chlorine is a chemical that causes cancer. So long-term exposure at a cellular level will reduce the oxygen in the cell. Chlorine is a killer. And at a cellular level, it's going to do the same thing. So long-term exposure, if you don't have a filter, you're the filter. That's something that not a lot of people really get. You have 2 kidneys and a liver. Those are your filters. Long-term exposure to harsh chemicals will eventually create problems with the filters. And that's not really our fault because we live in an environment that's not designed for healing. We live in an environment that's designed for inflammation. And this is chlorine, so now we're done with this. And this other drop, similar to this, what they do is they detect the presence of hydrogen. If you remember in your high school biology class on the periodic table of elements, up here in the top corner, number 1 is hydrogen, because it's the number 1 most abundant molecule in our environment. And H2O, the H stands for hydrogen, but also pH stands for the power or the potential of hydrogen. Now, if I check and see what the power or the potential of hydrogen, we're going to see that based on the content is going to show a color. And if it's orange, then there's very little hydrogen, which means that the number 1 most abundant molecule in the earth is not present. But if it is, then that means we have life. So it's not about the water in your life, it's about the life in your water. And this crystal geyser is not bad, but it's also not good. All of these bottled waters, we don't know how long they've been sitting in a warehouse, on a truck, in the store. This corner one is this Sprite right here, and then so it goes like this, and Powerade. I used to be an athlete. I sometimes say I still am, but I used to be too. And I used to drink this Powerade, and I used to drink Sprite because I thought it was better than Coca-Cola. And I'd probably go for the Crystal Cascade because it looks fresh. But what we can see is that none of these even go beyond neutral. So our blood is supposed to be 7.36 pH, which is the potential of hydrogen. But if we do with this water that I drink every day, and most of my friends and family drink every day, and then this is the strong 11.5, which is good for a foot soak, also good for degreasing. It's considered a cleaner, but it's a powerful antioxidant, not recommended for drinking. And then you can see right away that there's going to be a really big difference in the potential or the power or the presence of hydrogen. I like your scrubs too. That's alkaline 9.5. But what you can see though is that the hydrogen is gonna hydration, right? Why do those words sound so similar? No hydrogen, no hydration. No hydrogen, let's be honest, no hydrogen, no hydration. And then this is muscle cramps, bloody noses, migraines, and dry skin. Because that's exactly what I had for most of my life growing up. Muscle cramps, bloody noses, migraines, and dry skin. And I drank a lot of Powerade growing up because all of my sports were sponsored by Gatorade. And then most of my friends are giving this to their kids when they're sick, and it makes me sad.
What is that?
It's Pedialyte. But it's the same as soda, you guys. It's just as acidic, and acidic is inflammatory. Acidic is illness, and dis-ease. And we need to know this, but we don't really generally know this. And then I like to see this right here, because how is change created? It starts with just something as simple as this, but also it's an idea. this is how change is created. It starts with an idea, and then it goes to thoughts and feelings. Raise your hand if you know anybody with cancer, arthritis, digestive disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis. I mean, man, any itis. That's a feeling. Those are our people that we love. But what if they're only drinking this and they just don't know? And then here's the good news though, okay? It's not all sad. This is the water that I drink every day, I promise, cross my heart. It's not strong enough to improve the Powerade, but it is strong enough to improve the bottled water. So if you're drinking bottled water, it's not a death sentence, but if you're drinking Pedialyte, you might as well be drinking Sprite. And if you're drinking Diet, then you can't say it without the word die. So you can see though, this is this one, and this is this one, and these are these, and that's that one. So we think that we're doing our kids a good favor by buying the Powerade and the Pedialyte and the bottled water because it's better than tap, which is true, but it's still not going to help you. And then we have to create a plan. So we sell the machines, they're an investment. We also have the membership program at the juice bar, which is less of an investment. Create a plan. I'll help you create a plan, but I'm going to help you help yourself create a plan. It's up to you. It's really up to you. And then change your habits and then make a commitment. That's really it. And if your body is primarily water and 99% of your cells are made up of water, when you love your water, you can't help but love yourself at the same time. And most of us are dealing with like self-love, self-worth, self-value. We don't really love ourselves that much, so we gravitate towards stuff like this. And I was the same way for a long time. And then I started to really care more about my water. I started to care more about myself. And then I made a commitment to make a lifestyle change. And then now everything is different. And it can be different for you too. It can be different for you too. So how change is created. And then the healing web, is very helpful because down the middle there's an index, and I like to look at this like as if it's the same as a butterfly. We have the middle of the butterfly and then the wings that extend off from the side. And this down the middle is a list of all of the very common standard American health conditions that we suffer from. So heart disease is number 1. I think number 2 might be cancer in the American Health Association. Number 3, it's not on the list, but medical error. Just so you guys know. First is heart disease, second is cancer, third is medical error. And then now as it goes through cold and flu, diabetes, allergies, eczema, digestion, arthritis, you can take the route towards big pharma like we're used to for the last 100 years, Rockefeller, pharmaceutical, medical, or you can go this way towards holistic, natural healing. There's a lot of things that I don't say produce, I say practice. These things that I'm practicing are on this side of the list. And it just so happens that when I found this list, I said, oh, wow, I'm already doing a lot of these things. So I'm gonna figure out what some of this other stuff is, educate myself, learn about them, and implement them if I feel like that's what I need to do. So this helps me be my own doctor, helps me take care of my own self, and then I'm not a customer of this institution, this business that they have. And this is the water. So I did this presentation for the Bandon Community Youth Center the other day, and the little kids, their minds were blown, and they said, why doesn't my mom know about this? One of the kids said. I said, most moms don't know about this. And he said, well, when are you coming back? And I said, well, you can go to the juice bar anytime. I'll make a special appointment for you if you tell your mom to call me. And most of you probably recognize this called a tuning fork. And this one is designed to resonate at the 528 hertz frequency. So 528 hertz is also called cycles per second. So you can see that it's generating a vibration, and that vibration is resonating at 528 cycles per second. When I put this on my sternum, I can feel it vibrate through my whole entire skeletal system. So that means that my lungs are going to be able to feel the vibration. I have a disconnected collarbone. It's not connected to the scapula. So for example, if I were to put it on the collarbone, I might not feel it in my scapula because there's a dis-ease, right? Hyphen, ease. You see what I did there? And most of us, if we're doing acupuncture, they're accessing the meridians to increase the flow or the inner chi, the energy. And that's what hydration does too, because if you think about the raisin versus the grape, imagine how well the energy flows through the raisin compared to how it flows through the grape. And that's it for the water, but part of the whole entire protocol has to do with the water because this bed is going to vibrate your waters. Thank you. It's okay. You don't have to focus too much on that. Deb, if you don't mind, my friend Deb. Oh, your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you didn't switch them. You said
I think so.
that the raisin, that the water flows through, or the vibration flows through the raisin better than the grape.
No, I said,
Okay.
can you imagine how well, I know, my words are strange. Can you imagine how well the energy flows through the raisin compared to the grape? The answer, not well. So my thought is most of us are chronically dehydrated. So we're walking around like raisins and we're expecting the energy to still flow through normal. And if we can hydrate our cells at a cellular level, and we can hydrate our bodies and our brain, which is 85% water, then the energy, or like the meridians through the acupuncture, can flow through. Are you gonna need a blanket? It's kind of warm in here. Do you want to cover yourself?
I like the blanket, yeah.
Okay. So these right here, I'm gonna warn anybody, and I did mention it before, but if you have a history of seizure or epilepsy, then the idea is that these blinking lights with these frequencies could cause a potential neurological episode. But if you do not have a history of seizures or epilepsy, thank you, Deb, you just put your hands down, however you're comfortable. If you don't have a history of seizures or epilepsy, then you should be fine. So most of us, for example, I'm gonna tune it to, hey Lou. So Nikolai Tesla, I don't know him because I never met him, but I've read a lot about him. And he did say that, and I don't know it's an exact quote, it's paraphrasing, but the secrets of the universe, Lou, correct me if you can, are in the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Now you can go and look into this, but I know that there's multiple interpretations. What I've done is I've taken them to mean that the frequencies, for example, of 369 hertz sounds like that. You know, it's not anything to write home about. It's not very impressive. But if we stop that and then we go to 693, if I scroll all the way down to 6, so just different variations of 6, 3, 6, and 9. So 693 sounds like that. And together, it's a different type of tone, it's a different type of waveform mechanic. There's two, but they're playing together simultaneously. Now, I know that with the work that I've been doing is very similar to the work that Tesla was doing, because he was using bioresonance and frequency just like me. And what these do here, these will also provide the frequencies, but they provide them through a light transmission. And so these are going to use red lights, and they're pulsed lights, so they're pulsating at a certain frequency, and that's pulses per second. And what I like to do is I like to use their protocol for the company that they recommend. And so, for example, the first one that I personally like to do, and like when Deb started working with me, Deb, I'm not going to share any private information, but Deb does work with me. That's why she volunteered to help me today, because she's very familiar with this process. So I start with B1, which is stress relief. And stress relief, or B1, cycles through the solfeggio frequencies. Who knows what the solfeggio frequencies are, right? Wonderful. So, and then also they'll go through for about 30 minutes. Then B2 is for mental acuity support, and it cycles through different frequencies. So 10 hertz through 25, and then 40 hertz and 100 hertz for 28 minutes. What I like to do is I like to use these, which are similar to the solfeggio, but 147 hertz helps remove pain. 285 shifts the bioenergy field, so it might be inverted. It can help shift the direction of the flow. And then, like I mentioned, 396, which is a variation of the 369, releases fear and guilt. And I'm not religious, I didn't grow up in scripture, but I do know that they say 365 times there's a fear not element in the Bible. So one for every day, to fear not. And fear, it carries a vibration similar to guilt and shame. And if that frequency of guilt and shame or fear is implemented, then what is it going to do to the body's water? That's what we want to avoid. 417 facilitates change. So if anybody is interested in some transitional, if they're going through some life change, then the 417 hertz frequency is very beneficial. Now, what I'll do, and Deb, we'll just have you put on the headphones so you can just go through the whole entire, let's do it like this. There you go. Put your hand down. Is that good? Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay. And so that should still be on. How's the volume, Deb? Can you hear it?
Good.
Who can feel that? Feels good, right?
Oh, awesome.
The whole room is shaking. So imagine what that's doing to her lungs. Imagine what that's doing to her endocrine, which is her hormone production regulation. Imagine if I were to put on this weighted eye mask. Deb, I'm gonna put on she knows. So this is a weighted eye mask, and then that pressure, that slight pressure, is going to accelerate the relaxation in her neurological system. So the idea is for her, and the word is entrainment. So the idea is that the body is going to respond to the environment, no matter what the environment. Doesn't have to be loud, doesn't have to be strong. It can be low, or it can be high. A lot of it is up to tolerance. But this right here is 432 hertz frequency. So 432 is really good for repairing. Like if somebody is in need of, like my grandma is post-surgical. When she comes home, I would love to apply frequencies, have her lay on the bed. She enjoys the bed, and she says that she receives some of the best sleep that she has after her session. So I'll switch to the B1 and I'll press play, and you can see now that the lights are activated, but they're blinking at 63 pulses per second. So 63 pulses per second. If her skin was exposed, it would be able to receive the frequencies better. But because I know that our body has a bioenergy field, then I know that because the frequencies are in her field, they're going to receive the vibrations and the resonance effect in books like this. And it's the idea that the body is the physical body has a limitation, but the energy body extends further than the physical body. So the biofield actually has an anatomy. And there's doctors like Dr. Eileen McCusick, who has mapped the bioenergy field. So like, for example, we know that this is my arm, and we know that this is my radius bone and my ulna, and we know what these bones are. We know about the anatomy because we could see it, we could feel it. Now the doctors, when they're in their anatomy physiology class and they have the cadaver, the one thing that disappears in the cadaver is the lymphatic system, which is our waste removal system. So at that stage of death, when they're examining the cadavers, they cannot identify the lymphatic system, which is the waste removal system. It's gone. And if the lymphatic system has a lot to do with hydration, then by hydrating and then by vibrating and gyrating, because this is a gyration process also, then the body's lymphatic system will be able to operate more appropriately, which means that disease is not what we eat, drink, think, or breathe. It's what we don't eliminate in most cases. I have a paper that even explains that too. So my protocol is basically simple, but it relies a lot on the information that these are at-home physiotherapy devices. Anybody can own any of this stuff. I'm not certified. I've just been following the instructions that comes with the technology, and I utilize it appropriately. And then with experience and with help, we can branch out and use other resources. So my hope, though, is to just explain a little bit more about dehydration, because this is really close to my heart, this hydration project. Dehydration is separation, if you think about it. So at a cellular level, if you're in need of hydration, that means you're in lack or limitation. So also dehydration is isolation. It's depression, it's debt. If you think about it, at a cellular level, if we're dehydrated, we're in debt. It's strange. But also disassociation, destruction, division, dissatisfaction, but also a decision. And we don't have to decide to stick to the standard norm, because we can, make a change. We sell the machines, and those are two wonderful examples. Lou has one for sure. And then also we share the water. So if you don't want to buy a machine, you could still try the water at a very, very minimal investment. And then if you buy a machine from me, you also get me, and that means you get all this stuff too, which is, it increases the value. And by taking care of yourself and thinking differently about your water, this is just one. That machine makes water for your skin and your hair. It makes cleaning waters, all types of things. But my goal, though, is for anybody who wants to create change in their life. And Denise and I have committed ourselves at the Juice Bar to do whatever it is that you guys need us to do within our scope. And I do what I can to increase my scope, because I want to help you guys and myself and others facilitate change. So I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't increase my scope of practice. And we started here, and then I moved to here, and I started using these things. But then also, there is this technology, which is frequency therapy and biofeedback. And you can also look up online the Healy. Sylvia, has this Healy not completely changed the entire direction of your whole entire life in the last 3 years? Yeah, and then this is called a HEWA, HEAWEA, stands for Healing Wearable. And it's made by the same company that produces, this is called a Spooky 2. It's just a case, but inside is a Rife machine, frequency generator. So 100 years ago, there was a man called Royal Raymond Rife, and his technology was frequency therapy. And he was able to help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. But when the Rockefeller Pharmaceutical Medical Institution came in, they decided that frequencies, Deb, can you hear me? All right, I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna go to the AO scan. Now this AO scanner is a biofeedback device, and what it does is it goes on the jawbone. So you can see it doesn't sit in my ear, it sits right in front of my ear. similar to the tuning fork, it transmits microcurrent frequencies through the jaw and the skeletal system. Deb, you're okay. I'm going to start it up right now, okay? I appreciate your patience. And what it does is it utilizes the skeleton to communicate with the body, with the biology of the body. And what that means is that your body is always communicating. In most cases, we silence and suppress the communication with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical medication is called symptom management, also symptom suppression. If a symptom is our body's way of communicating with us by silencing the communication mechanism with pharmaceutical compounds, we don't heal the root cause. We only suppress the symptom. And that is the Rockefeller Pharmaceutical Medical Institution. It's a business, and they're very, very, very profitable. That Healing Web outlines their whole entire operation from start to finish, and it also helps us undo everything that they've created. Now, what I hope and intend to do is create medical freedom and body sovereignty. Body sovereignty means that we're in control of what we put in our mouth, through our eyes, through our ears, best we can. I know we're not always able to minimize the input because we're all affected by each other right now. We're sitting in the same room, we're in proximity. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, my words are going to alter or change the way you feel, the way we all feel. We're all sort of, and my friend Miss Donna sort of helped me see that in a better lens, and I appreciate her for that. So I forgot, they didn't give me a Wi-Fi password. I was gonna hook up to the Wi-Fi, and there was an issue earlier with the Wi-Fi. I've got Deb on the frequencies right now. So the other thing too is I don't want to make any medical claims. I did say, and I am on record, that I'm not a doctor and I do not intend for this to be medical advice. But I do know that my mom has been working with children with autistic spectrum disorder for most of my life. And I know that has a lot to do with an imbalance in the digestive system. That has a lot to do with microbiome and microflora and how this is our first brain. If you think about it, this umbilical was our first mouth. So that's how we receive the primary nutrients for ourselves. And also the microflora is affected by pesticides, and side means death. So literally pesticides are designed to kill microorganisms. And if that's what your lower digestive consists of microorganism, then the pesticides on our produce, in our food are going to create imbalance. Chronic imbalance creates chronic disorders, and I know autistic spectrum disorder is part of that, but we have a frequency program for that. So the idea is to create balance in the stomach and the digestive system, but also in the neurological system. It's chronic neurological chaos sometimes, and that's what anxiety is too. So I'm not saying that this can cure autism, but what I'm saying is in combination with the water or proper hydration, in combination with probiotics, we also sell the microflora. We can increase the microflora bank account, what I call it. And then with the vibration and the frequencies, we can possibly create balance. And if autism spectrum disorder is chronic imbalance, then it's not going to take one session. It's going to take a series of lifestyle changes, like I mentioned over there. How is change created? So no Wi-Fi, so no AO scan. What I've noticed is that my friends who their children are undiagnosed but display behavioral disorder, and they tend to be picky eaters, and some of them have difficult maintaining eye contact. There's these characteristics that are associated. Then when they get on the water, and then we have another product at the juice bar called Living Silica, and then we have digestive enzymes and microflora, and we implement the vibration and the frequency. That is such a holistic, with a W, approach to chronic imbalance that it's almost impossible for the imbalance to remain, because we're creating an environment. And with this, the way that this HEWA connects is I like to put one pad, it's like a sticky pad, here on the right wrist, and then I put the other sticky pad on the left ankle. And the idea is to create a cross pattern that doesn't involve the heart. So if I were to put it here and here, then the frequency would cross the heart path, and I don't want that. So what I do want, though, is for it to cross the digestive path. And there's Herxheimer protocol that we can use for the effects of detox. There's digestive frequencies that we can use for balance. The Spooky 2 Rife generator is more robust than this HEWA, but they both come with what's called a zapper. And the zapper was designed by, I'm not sure if she was considered a doctor or not, but very brilliant inventor by the name of Hulda Clark, Hulda Clark, C-L-A-R-K. And she created a frequency generator that eliminates and kills parasites and worms and bacteria like Candida in the digestive and in the body. And with that zapper, we can apply the frequencies at the same time as you're on the bed. It's not going to hurt you. So, or we can do the zapper as the same time with the HEWA that's running a Herxheimer protocol. So the zapper is going to kill parasites and worms, but then there's going to be die-off. And those casualties go into the blood. But if we simultaneously run frequencies for Herxheimer protocol, then you don't have the effects of the detox, and you can just eliminate the waste. And so what we're doing is we're creating an environment for our body to balance itself. And right now, she's receiving through the lights 417 hertz frequencies, and I think I had that. It facilitates change. So 417 hertz. I'm not sure if she can hear me, but if she could hear me, the idea right now is to think about and feel about, and the idea is to feel as though it's already here. So if you want to facilitate change, then what you'd want to do in this environment right now, if you were Deb, is to feel as though you're already in that change. And then what'll happen is the body will, and the waters in the body will structure themselves accordingly, and your life will begin, those changes will start to take place for in the direction in which you go. And that's why we need to work on our goals. I put the little notebooks right there, because maybe you could write on there, my number one goal is to start the water, or my number one goal is to learn more about these frequencies. There's one that I really want you to learn about. It's called the Phi frequency, P-H-I. It's the golden ratio. So the word entrainment is also called hypnosis. But this is a physiological entrainment, a body entrainment, a body hypnosis. And the idea is for your body to be put into a specific waveform mechanic for it so it can heal itself. The other things that we do here with the AO scan, there's no internet, is it talks about the notes, like piano notes or similar. I'm not a musician, but the G note corresponds to the frequency 392 hertz. It's also connected to the color red. The color red is connected to the base or root chakra, and that is connected to our foundation, our ability to root ourselves in any situation or environment that we're in. G sharp is 415.3 hertz. That's also the color orange, similar. Color orange, as you move up the chakra, is the sacral or the creative, or we're all adults, so creative sexual energy. But also if you're an artist, if you're a painter, if you're a sculptor, that's where the creation energy comes from. So we can help with that too, with frequency. So there's a lot of different notes, where these notes and these frequencies are transmitted through our vocal cords, and there's a vocal analysis as part of the biofeedback. So you talk for 10 seconds. I am David Zaragoza. I am here at the Sprague Community Theater with wonderful friends and people who I know. And that whole time it's analyzing the tones, the octaves and the overtones in my voice. And then there's going to be able to determine an emotional element. And then it's going to provide the frequencies that you are going to need in that time to create balance. And they're all based on musical theory, advanced musical theory. And it was all created with advanced musical theory. It's called cellular attunement. They took the golden ratio, phi, which is 1.618, which is also called Fibonacci sequence. They use that as the highway or the delivery system. So they use the golden ratio as the delivery system for the rest of the frequencies. They use advanced musical theory to create the notes and the octaves in the combination. They use sacred geometry to bring in positivity and create balance. And then this is called sonic-ceuticals. So if we know about pharmaceuticals, the pharm, the P-H-A-R-M, is like a synthetic pharm, F-A-R-M, but P-H. So sonic-ceuticals is sound healing rather than synthetic farm healing. Sound healing, the way that they describe this is that they say that we are physical manifestations of our own energetics crystallized into our physical body. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the company, their goal is to help us become whatever it is that we want to be. If we want to be healthy, if we want to be fill in the blank. I don't know, what are you? If you come in the juice bar and you say, I am S-I-C-K, I'm going to say you go outside and you come back in and you say something different. Because you could say, I am healing, or I am detoxing, or I am in need of fill in the blank. But what you don't want to say is, I am sick. And, like with this environment, I've helped Deb. There's a lot of things that we can do. This is called an iTerracare. You might have heard of this. It's called the wand. A lot of places or people are calling it the wand. And it transmits terahertz. On the spectrum of frequency, terahertz is just outside of microwave. So the idea, what we'd like to do, is we would like to use this to imprint our water. And if we imprint our water and we drink the water, then the water is going to resonate at the terahertz frequency, which is just outside of microwave. So we're being exposed by microwave frequency as everywhere. Wi-Fi, cell phone, in our house when we cook our food in the microwave. But what we're not exposed to unless we go earthing or grounding is terahertz. So if I drink this water now, it's in my body, it's in my blood. Now I want to hit it with my skin. This is my respiratory, this is my lymphatic, this is my cardiovascular. This is I said lymphatic, so we've got lymph nodes. Our lymph nodes are our storage containers for toxins. It's where the toxins are stored. The first thing we do when we have lymphoma, biopsy. Terrible idea. So I know that right here is going to get the blood going into my brain and also deoxygenated blood coming down. So it's going to help me. I want to get my kidneys, if I can, get my lower back. Those are my filters. I have to filter all of my waste. Get my spine if I can, back of my neck, palms of my hands, backs of my knees, okay, my knees, my belly button, my first mouth. Okay, I'm still providing terahertz frequencies into my first mouth. If I'm applying frequencies to Deb, then I want to put them right there. I want to get her radial artery. I want to get her brachial artery and her elbow. I want to get her armpit. It's where lymph nodes. We have a lot of lymph nodes in our armpits. I want to get right there on her neck, same like I was describing before. I want to do circular motions above her heart. We'll come through, do circular motions above her digestion, get her other hands. Okay, we all have reproductive organs and they're not all balanced. So I'm going to do circular motions. I'm going to go up her legs. If I could reach, I'd do bottoms of the feet. And I would just continue going through and applying the terahertz. It's going to help, even if she doesn't drink the water, it's going to help more if she does. That's the idea. It's going to help because she drinks the Kangen. She knows about it.
Tell me the name of that again.
Terra Care, terahertz. Terra means earth. Terra is like the earth, and this is the idea of recalibrating our cellular biology with the frequency of the earth. And you can do the same thing if you take your shoes off and go stand in the grass. Okay, now the other thing too that I like to describe is called cellular attunement. A lot of this biofeedback scanner that I can't use because I don't have internet right now, and this bed is separate. The lights and the bed are the same, but the biofeedback scanner is separate. The biofeedback scanner analyzes the voice and the vocal tones, and it does provide music, classical style music, which is produced at a certain note or tone, but also the zone has a lot to do with our emotions and our physical body. So zone 1 through 12, I'm just going to go through them quickly a little bit. Zone 1 through 12. 1 is the feelings of acknowledged versus self-validated. So we have to understand that anxiety and excitement, our body is going through the same physiological response. It's our perception that's different. Our feelings of the situation, whether it's anxiety or excitement. Same thing with most of this unacknowledged versus self-validated, repetitive thinking versus independent thinking. Turn that up because it's a little low. Depression versus inner peace. Emotionally disconnected versus emotionally integrated. So the idea is that if we have imbalance, we would ideally like to bring it into balance. And if we're too far this way and we're emotionally disconnected, or we're too far this way and we're emotionally integrated, then the idea would be to create some element of balance. Self-critical versus self-love. Conditional love versus unconditional love. Now, most of us, I've learned through this process, we have a love language, we speak a love language, and we hear a love language, and not all the times are they the same, but we, in most cases, don't even give ourselves the love that we require. So this, like what Deb is doing, she does trust me, but she's doing this for herself. That's self-love. And to be able to go into the unknown to create change, that's a scary thing to do, but also it's helpful when you have all of this stuff to help you along the process. Cellular attunement, as I continue, anger versus self-acceptance, fearfully overwhelmed versus accountability, suppressed versus expressed emotional expression. So you can either suppress your emotional expression or you can feel comfortable expressing yourself. Or unworthy or undeserving versus self-accepting, rigid beliefs versus open to possibilities, conflicting beliefs versus congruent beliefs. And the last part, that's the cellular attunement, and that's a lot of what this focuses on. So if you can imagine, most of us are dealing with some imbalance somewhere in one of those areas. And then now the other thing is our brain waves. With television and cell phone towers and all of our exposure to Wi-Fi and EMF, most of us, and our phone, the blue light, we're scrolling too late into the night, our brain is not producing the melatonin that we need, but also we're not going into those proper brainwave states like we're supposed to, and it's all frequencies. So gamma, beta, alpha, those are our focused frequencies. Those are our focused brainwave states. If we're in gamma, we're in learning, problem solving, cognitive processing. That's 32 through 100 hertz. If we're in beta, that's 13 through 32. We're awake, we're alert, we're conscious, we're thinking, we're excited. That's generally after 12 years old. We're in alpha, between ages of 6 and 12. That's 8 through 13 hertz, so low hertz. We're physically and mentally relaxed. Then you get into hypnosis. That's theta. Creativity, insight, deep states, dreams, deep meditation, and reduced consciousness. These are our kids. Like through ages 2 through 6, they're in the delta and the theta. Delta is 0.5 through 4 hertz, so cycles per second. Deep, dreamless sleep, loss of bodily awareness, and repair. So if we were to create a delta brainwave state and choose the 0.5 through 4 hertz frequency, then your body will go into a deep hypnosis, which is called entrainment, and it will begin to repair itself. And with the implementation of one of these other solfeggio frequencies, we can apply 528 hertz and repair DNA. Not saying that we will, I'm not making medical claims, but why not try to create an environment where your DNA can repair itself? Or we can apply 741, which is a detoxing frequency, but also helps with awareness. Now, I know Deb, and I'm gonna play zone 5 for Deb. And zone 5 is self-critical versus self-love. We all tend to be self-critical. We can be hard on ourselves, but also that inner judge is going to structure the inner waters. And if our inner waters are being structured in a negative way, then we become negative. I want to pass this around. I was going to wait until the end, and I'm going to pass this around, but I'm not sure because I'm not a photographer. I didn't take these photos. These photos are not mine, so I can't verify them 100%. But I have learned about this. I've listened to long-form interview, podcast conversation that talks about this theory. We're less in the theory, going more towards fact. But the idea is that the stars are not balls of fire. The stars that we see, if you can zoom in with the cameras that we have and the lenses that we have now, they can zoom in, and with a tripod, they can do long exposure, and they can capture the stars, and what they look like is cymatic frequencies on water. Or if you were to put a petri dish of water on top of a speaker or a subwoofer and transmit these frequencies, then it would create these shapes and these geographical patterns, these cymatic patterns. And when people are zooming in on the stars, that's what they're seeing. They're seeing frequencies being transmitted through water. And some people might be able to describe better than me, but the Bible and other historical books talk about a firmament and waters above the firmament. I don't know about that. I'm not an expert, I'm just a juice guy, but I do know that the closer we get to these frequencies and hydration and vibration, the more powerful we become as spiritual beings. And I say all the time that I am a living spirit inside of a man called Dave. I am not Dave. That's just a sound that my friends make to get my attention. So the idea is that the spirit can increase its strength, its energy, its inner chi. That was an entire session for Deb on the frequencies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this down. Deb, welcome back. You're all done. I'm going to take this off, okay? Are you ready? All right. So we're going to take this off now. Oops, gotcha. And then what I'd like for you to do, Deb, if you can or if you want to, with your eyes closed, maybe, just describe your session. Describe your experience best you can. There you go. Because it's fresh, it's in your mind, and you can probably describe it pretty well.
It's a very amazing experience, and the single best thing that I have done for myself and lots of therapies. I've done massage therapy, I've done acupuncture, and they're good. And I've done some Rolfing work and what have you. And this is the first time I have had the experience of being without stress. And it's a new reference point for me. Given meditation and things that I'm doing, augment this and help me at a cellular level. It feels like, this is what it feels like to not be stressed. And I have had improvement in a lot of my body functions doing this on a regular basis, and my variety of ailments that I have improved tremendously. So I'm a believer because of my personal experience, and I just can't emphasize enough how it feels that it's helping my body help itself. It's helping me tune into what my body needs and meeting that need. And the spiritual and emotional aspect of it that Dave helps me with complements that as well.
Thank you. I'm almost about to cry. And the thing that I know, and I don't know if everyone knows it or not, but I live my life according to the law that which is in me is that which is in you, and that which is in you is greater than that which is in the world. And the world is designed to diminish that which is in you. And I have found ways to strengthen that which is in me, and I want to help strengthen that which is in you, so we can help diminish that which is of the world. And that's my goal. And if that's your goal, then I can help you too. That's it. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. You showed up maybe for me, but also you showed up for yourself. And I thank you for showing up for me, but also I thank you for showing up for yourself.
I had a question.
Okay?
Some of those frequencies were really affecting me.
In a negative way?
I'm not sure. I have traumatic brain injury, I have nerve palsy, and some of those frequencies were just really tweaking my body out. How does this stuff work on nerves and brain injuries?
It tailors to your body and what it is that your body is transmitting and what it is that you need according to the imbalances. So what it does, and so like what I didn't do with Deb is the biofeedback. And what I would do, and this is very non-invasive, it's not as powerful as the bed, but what it does is because it connects to the jawbone, it transmits the frequencies into the jawbone and then uses the skeleton as a biofeedback. And that's very like low vibration, low pulse. They're similar to a dog whistle, whereas it's outside of our input. And so it goes through a range of frequencies, and then your body's gonna provide a response, and then it can provide what you need. So like for you, with what you're saying, I wouldn't go straight to this stuff. I would start at the classical notes, the G sharp and the C sharp and the F, whatever it is that your body needs, so then you can build up a tolerance. And that's a great question, I'm glad, but also that's why we start, and Deb, you can verify this, but the first thing that we do is biofeedback, because everybody is starting at a different point, but this is a great way for us to figure out where that is. And so like you might only need 10 minutes or 5 minutes to start with, and then you go from 5 to 10 to 15 and build your way up. I know Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, but you could be on here for like a good 2 solid hours and not even feel bad, you feel better. But if I do have books and things here that I've used to help myself, The Hidden Messages of Water, Dr. Emoto. But if you guys are interested in Dr. Emoto, I would recommend writing down a lady called Veda Austin. And Veda Austin has taken Emoto's work to a whole nother level. Now the idea with Veda Austin and Dr. Emoto is that they've studied the messages of water. So like they froze water, and then looked at it under microscope. Dr. Emoto, after thinking words like thank you and thinking words like I you. And then he froze the water and looked at it under a microscope, and as a crystallization, the I love you had a beautiful geometric shape, and the negative phrase had a dissonance, a really nasty vibration. What Veda Austin does is she took Emoto's work and she expanded, because she knows that there's 3 states of matter. There's, for water, there's liquid, solid, and gas. So water in its liquid form, ice, and then evaporation. The vapor is considered the gas. But there's a 4th phase of water, and there's a doctor, I believe, Jared Pollock, I think his name is, who studies the 4th phase of water, which is plasma. This water is similar to 4th phase water in the sense that it has a viscosity, it has a different type of vibration. It's a vibrationally structured water, and that's similar to what I'm talking about, because Veda freezes water, but she studies it in the process of freezing. So it's not a liquid, it's not a solid, it's a plasma, and it's in the state of creation. So when she studies water, she studies crystallography, which is like the hieroglyphic language of water. And she describes water as the glove on the hand of consciousness. And if you subscribe to the idea that that which is in me is that which is in you, and that which is in you is greater than that which is in the world, then water is the glove on the hand of that, whatever that is, that consciousness. And water helps the consciousness speak. But we are made of water, the plants are made of water, the animals are made of water. If we don't have water, then we cannot survive. So Dr. Emoto, also this next book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, it also says that you might not be sick, you might be thirsty. There's the resonance effect, so resonance. There's also a book called Primal Resonance, but this bed provides a harmonic resonance, and so does the tuning fork. And then I've got these little books on the Kangen. This one is by a man called Robert Wright. He is the founder of the American Anti-Cancer Foundation. And his book is called Killing Cancer, Not People. And chapter 6 is dedicated to this water specifically. So his American Anti-Cancer Foundation says that if your ionized water can outperform this ionized water, then we would be happy to promote your water. Until then, we're going to promote this water. And no other ionizer has been able to produce the benefits and the effects. Now, these books I brought because they're very similar, but yet they're very different. This one is called A Holographic Universe. And my favorite section of this book is called The Sea of Living Electrons. The idea behind this water specifically, our Kangen water and these machines, is that it produces free electron currency in the water. Same like at the bottom of a waterfall, same like when lightning strikes a lake or a pond. And that electron donation to the body is what helps our body ionize and connect with each other. We are the ionizer in most cases, and there is a sea of living electrons between me and you right now. And that's how our bodies are able to communicate with each other, and the holographic universe goes in depth into what that means. But then also you can implement this idea, the electric body, electric health. This is written by Dr. Eileen McCusick, who is the lady who created the tuning fork, and also she is the one who mapped out the human biofield. And the human biofield is where most of our emotions and our trauma are stored, in the biofield. And the idea is what she did was she was able to figure out that if a patient was laying here and she hit her tuning fork, and she can, like this, but she's trained. And so she does like that. So then she goes, it goes, dum. Whoa, that's a dissonance. And so she'll try again. She'll hit it and she'll go, oh, okay, well, now she's mapped over 25, 30 years of sessions. She's figured out that at 5 feet away is about 15 years, and this side is the feminine. So she says, okay, something happened to your mother about 15 years ago. She said, yeah, mom left. Okay, well, there's an abandonment wound. And that abandonment wound is right off of the heart chakra, you know, and so angry about not being heard or seen. Okay, well, that has a lot to do with abandonment. And then the fact that it's on the feminine side means that it has something to do with the mom, and the fact that it's about 5 feet off of the physical body means it was about 15 years ago. And that means that emotional stagnation, that static, that dissonance, that trauma, we're carrying it around with us in our bioenergy field. And in some cases, we're bleeding on others emotionally and we don't even know it. But through work, through frequencies and biotuning, we can recalibrate. And how often does a musician tune their guitar? All the time. How often do we tune our body? Hardly ever. So, you know, for me, if anybody wants to jump on, I mean, I have the room. I'm about done. I don't think I have any more to share. The chlorine, the reason why I did it first was because it's a real big problem. But you can still see that there's a difference between the darkness, you know, but my body was able to absorb a lot of that chlorine really quickly. And then the Powerades and the Gatorades and the Pedialytes and the light sodas and the things like that, they're very acidic. Acidic means disease and dysfunction. These are only looking this good, remember, because I poured my Kangen water in there. So we can make them even better with the strong 11.5 Kangen, which I use for soaking my feet. I use for laundry detergent. But even the 11.5 is not strong enough to change the really, really acidic waters. And if you're drinking Powerade or Gatorade or anything like that, or anything that's carbonated, our CO2 is a waste product that our body produces. And we need oxygen to oxygenate our blood and our cells. And Dr. Otto Warburg in 33, received a Nobel Peace Prize for figuring out that disease and illness can only thrive in a deoxygenated, acidic environment. It's only acidic if it's deoxygenated or if it doesn't have the hydrogen in there. So if we can increase our oxygen and our hydrogen, we can decrease inflammation and oxidation. And if we can change the way that our body resonates, then we can change the direction of our health. And then if you want to create change, here's a really good step to do it. And then also, just so you know, so we can wrap it up, I'm at the Young Wellness Center. I rent a room from Rachel Young, and they do sensory deprivation float tank therapy. They do infrared sauna, and they have 3 massage therapists and a frequency therapy with Dave. And so that's part of it. I benefit from the sensory deprivation float tank therapy myself. It's a really good opportunity for me to go inward and eliminate any outside stimulus so I can sort through my thoughts and get to the root cause of whatever it is that might be bothering me. And then I'm at the Rossum Juice Bar. Of course, you all know, most of you probably know my Aunt Denise, and she owns the juice bar, and I'm there most of the time as well. We do the membership program there. I don't do that at the Wellness Center, so it's like $1 a minute, where we'll do 30-minute sessions, 60-minute sessions, 90-minute sessions. If you need 4 hours, then we'll schedule 4 hours. It just depends on what you need. And then there's a Kangen water machine at the Young Wellness Center, and there's one at the Rossum Juice Bar also. So we do the water as part of the protocol, and I generally have most of these things with me at both locations. So who has any questions?
I have no questions, but you saw my message the other day about bloody nose.
No, what was that? Tell me again.
I've had bloody noses for years, and I started drinking the water probably 6 months ago, on a good basis. Changing the way that I eat and everything. Well, Monday I went shopping in Coos Bay with the granddaughter. After 3 days of not drinking the water, my own fault for not going to get it. She wanted McDonald's, so I got her nuggets, some fries, and a Dr. Pepper. And while we were sitting there talking, I ate 3 nuggets, a little handful of French fries, and 2 sips of that Dr. Pepper. Oh wait, we left Walmart, went to pick up her prescription at the pharmacy, which is just down the road, and I'm standing there talking to the pharmacist, getting the prescription, and all of a sudden it was this hot flood. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
bloody nose, and I've been had one for
Yeah.
probably 4 or 5 months now, and no blood pressure issues.
Yeah, just
But
dehydration.
just after having,
and we've had hot weather. The weather's been warm. If you go inland at all, it's warmer and drier.
I didn't like being in Coos Bay anyways, it was
Yep.
too warm for me,
Yep.
but just 3 nuggets and a few French fries, and it was just like a flood.
Yep. Well, I used to have them when I would get into the shower. I would take a warm shower, and because my blood vessels in my nose were dehydrated and fragile, the warm water would dilate them and they would break.
Yep.
And so almost always when I was a kid growing up, I would take a shower and my nose would start bleeding. And then I'd have to, like, you know, I didn't know what to do. How do you do a bloody nose literally in the shower? So it's like, okay, I'll
Let it go.
just like pinch it and just let the water run, and like, so it doesn't get in my mouth. And it's like, that was my childhood growing up, where I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a tremendous cramp in my calf, and my mom would have to massage it out, or I'd just have terrible migraine headaches, and she'd put an ice pack on the back of my neck and give me a Gatorade or a Sprite, you know, or something. And so it's like, well, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And then I didn't know any of this until I got the machine and started drinking the water. And now I'll never go backwards. I can't possibly go back. And if I travel, I take my machine with me. So
Have you seen the salt on the speakers, and they set the hertz and get all the geometric patterns? Those are incredible.
Deb just sent me something similar. It was
Yeah.
like red sand or something,
Yeah,
and they did that
They
in the
put it
red.
on there and then vibrate it at
Mhm.
certain hertzes, and it just changes into all these complex geometric patterns
Yeah.
based on how many hertz.
Hertz frequencies, and the way
It's
that
amazing.
I like to visualize that is that's what our cellular biology is doing when we're on the bed. Is it's pulsating and resonating and creating those same cymatic geometrical
Have you
patterns.
heard the recording that NASA just released
Mm-mm.
of the sound of a black hole?
Wow!
It's like a symphony.
Right,
They're
I can
actually
imagine.
recording the sounds of the universe.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, like Sylvia likes to play the sounds of Neptune on the bed,
Yeah.
or Venus. You know, and it's a very profound
Yeah,
experience.
listen to what put NASA
Yeah, black hole. Wow.
music, and it's like all these different levels
Mhm.
of sound.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if anybody wants to try, I mean, I don't know. I don't think
Oh,
we're.
every time I go in, he keeps going, Mrs.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you have time?
It's 7:42, so I have the room. We're all done with the presentation. I don't have anything else to share.
Do you have any of this I could hear?
Yeah, you can
I would like to try it on my well water.
Yeah, well, there's not going to be any chlorine in your well water.
No, but.
Or pH.
Yeah, there might be.
Yeah, check that one too. This one's pH, this one's chlorine.
I don't have chlorine.
Oh yeah, you don't have chlorine.
No,
Yeah, but this one you can check the pH.
that's what I wanna do.
Thank you.
And you got that chart for pH?
No, but you can look it up online.
Right.
The pH chart. It's very, very.
You know, and
So
he
it's
keeps asking me
like
every time I go in, and
Inflammatory.
I
A higher number or?
and I always
Lower
have
number.
her youngest with me,
Yeah, Civic is lower.
mom's at work all the time.
What was
but
your name?
It's like,
I'm Carol Schaefer,
it's like,
I was
don't,
told by you,
but I'm gonna get to it.
Billings. Oh yeah. She has a machine. She bought one.
I know.
I
Well,
told her
I
make
bought one
one.
too,
Oh,
and
you
she's
did?
in transit right now.
Wow, yes,
Yeah, I could
okay,
actually drop her
wonderful,
off.
thank you.
She
So
can walk
there's a
her
lot
around.
more
She
I
could drop
can
her off
talk
at
about the
my
water,
office,
and
and
when
it
you
would
get
be
your
fine.
machine, I would like to do a little thing for you and your family at your house.
But I
Be a
swear by
part
that
of the
water, I'm
installation.
telling you, I have
That's how
not
that
had
works. I help
because
Teresa
they were
and she helps you and I help you too.
years.
Yes, yes, well, could I get your
I
phone
mean, out
number?
of the blue ones.
Yeah.
huh?
Contact for you?
Yeah, I've got it on the table over there.
Okay.
Absolutely, thank
Because
you.
it's in transit, it'll be here, they said the 17th.
Yes, thank you.
It'll get here.
So,